And welcome back to the Constitutionals podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. If you're watching the video, this is episode 184. If you're watching the video, I've been saying 184 for the past like 2 to 3 episodes, and there's been a special episode that came out. So I've been saying that for at least 3 episodes. Today is actually 184. I know this because I did 183.7 a couple days ago. Johnny Brennan, the Jerky Boys, put it up, and he did not promote it. Welcome back to the show. 184. If you're watching the video, you'll see that I do have a new position for the microphone. I doubt this is going to work, and this is not going to be permanent. I prefer to have the microphone on my left side. I don't have a desk microphone boom arm. I just have this standard floor mic stand. You know what? It's fine. Seriously, when I got the bookshelf, it just pushed everything over. So now I just have to figure this out. And you know what? I will. But listen, we got a lot to get to, so let's get to it. I have to control the laptop with my left hand instead of my right. Good thing I'm cross-dominant. Amazon is going to buy the Wondery Podcast Network. This comes from the rap written by Diane Haithman. I don't know why I can't see the... Oh, God. That's the only thing I can't see on the screen. It's crazy. Wondery is the production company for the podcasts Dirty John, Over My Dead Body. The deal's going to value Wondery at more than $300 million. And again, this is just a maybe. According to and emphasizing that negotiations are ongoing and they could collapse. According to Wondery, to the story, Wondery was valued at $100 million in June 2019 and is expected to increase revenue to more than $40 million in 2020. This would be a big buy, obviously, because Spotify bought Gimlet and Anchor and a slew of other things. I think one of the Google Homes just heard me say something around the words "Hey Google," let's see who else. Luminary is apparently doing well enough to continue producing podcasts. Whoever just bought Earwolf or Howl or Stitcher, excuse me, whoever just Scripps sold Stitcher, and that was I guess a profit maker for whoever bought Stitcher. I don't know. We had a couple of weeks ago, before the Stitcher thing was mentioned, before it was mentioned. Again, I've mentioned this before, that the company I work for, the network, the television network I work for, is owned by Scripps, and we had a whole company meeting talking about the Stitcher sale and what it means for us, and we saw none of that money. Why would we? Two separate things. I mean, they could have started producing shows. Podcasts are becoming TV shows all the time. Dirty John became a TV show with Connie Britton and Eric Bana. I didn't even have to look because I knew it was on. I looked at the screen, but it became a show, and now it's on season 2. Now it's an anthology series. Podcasts become shows all the time. Comedy Bang Bang did well on IFC. At least in my eyes, I think it did really well because they got 100 some odd episodes. Still won't produce the season 4 and season 5 DVD for some reason, but I mean, what Scripps could have done was, and no one's going to listen to this because I don't tell people at work what I do on my off time. They don't need to know that. That's my business. But if you are listening, give me some more money, baby. I don't make enough. It's true, and. But what they could have done was take shows at Earwolf, at Stitcher, that Stitcher produces, the main ones Stitcher produces, the original Stitcher produces, and then the Earwolf shows, and option them for TV shows on the networks. They just bought another series of networks, so now we're nationwide. I mean, and I can only assume eventually the networks will blend within a couple of years, or channels will blend in a couple of years. And networks too. Yeah, because we're absorbing the network. Yeah, it's fine. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Just telling tales from school. But I think that would have been a good option for them, just to, say, hey, and also there's some of the networks are on channels are on networks. Some of the networks are on streaming platforms, on some streaming platforms, not all. But that would have been a great way to say, hey, here's a podcast. Here's God, ooh, I can't even think of a podcast. I can't even think of a podcast from Earwolf because I have unsubscribed from a bunch of podcasts in general. But here's, oh God, I can't even think of one. Here's Homophilia. I think that's only Earwolf. Here's Homophilia, a chat show with two queer men talking to other queer people in the entertainment industry. They could have done a talk show like that, and distributed it via. That's super easy to do. A talk show. Just look at the Drew Barrymore show. It's super easy to do. So that's Amazon buying Wondery. Again, people are buying up these podcasting production companies because they don't think that it's going to be. They see the future in it. They see that there's future in particularly murder podcasts or podcasts hosted by super famous people, Dak Shepard, Conan O'Brien, even Justin Long, or podcasts that are for some reason in Apple's top 20 podcasts, and they're hosted by women who don't have any skills, i.e. Barstool Sports podcasts. Her Name is Daddy or Call Me Daddy, whatever the heck that show is called. It's gross. Don't listen to Barstool. Barstool sucks. If you have to get sports, ESPN, Fox Sports, CBS Sports, literally anything else. That gross Barstool bull crap. This next one comes from Variety. I could talk for an hour on how much I dislike Barstool. Very true. Dave McNary wrote this. Mark Hamill, Whoopi Goldberg, Morgan Freeman blast SAG-AFTRA health plan cuts. So there have been negotiations inside of SAG. They need to save money, big quotes there. And they are deciding to, everybody voted obviously in SAG to allow for this, but they're changing the health plan. So what happens is if you speak, I think it's 5 lines. It might be 8 lines now, but if you speak 5 lines in a show or a movie that is produced by SAG or as part of the union, then you get a chance to apply for SAG, pay your dues, whatever, attend the meetings and stuff like that. But you're part of a union, you get health care, you get a lot of other benefits. But the main thing is healthcare. That's why a lot of people want to be a part of SAG. So the problem is, now that we're in a pandemic, a lot of people aren't working. And if you're in SAG, you're not making, this, I think dues are like, I know dues for IATSE down here in Atlanta, which is the international bull. I don't know. I don't care. I'm not part of it. I don't, and it costs too much. I think it's like $1,400 a year. So let's say SAG is $1,400 a year. The average person who is in SAG, again, you do not make a lot of money. You have to, your median wage or the least amount you can make is $25K. So $25,000, and that's, you could probably hear the TV in the background. It's fine. But $25,000, and then and that's how you can stay SAG eligible. Just act in something and make at least $25,000. But the problem is they raised the bar to $18,000. $18,000 was the floor. $25,000 is now the new floor. So if you got a couple of spots, couple of small roles in, let's say, Community's on TV. So you got 2 speaking roles in Community, playing a recurring character, and then you got a couple of speaking roles in Young Sheldon. 2 shows that aren't on at the same time and never on at the same time. But let's say you got 5 roles total, and then they pays you, I don't know, and you earned $22,000, and then that's taxed, and then also you have to pay your representation, and so you earn $17,000 that year for those roles in total. That's how it goes. And so if you didn't make that floor, then obviously you couldn't be a part of SAG. So that's why you'll hear a bunch of people go like, oh, I have to get something before, So now the new floor is $25,000, and another part of it is, A bunch of people have come out to speak about this. Amy Schumer, Clancy Brown, Shirley Jones, just a whole bunch of people that you know. Ed Asner and 9 other health plan participants sued the plan and trustees for alleged age discrimination and taking coverage away from 11,750 of 32,000 participants, including 8,200 senior performers. This is going to be effective January 1st. Trustees said at that point that without restructuring, the plan was projecting a deficit of $141 million this year and $83 million in 2021. A bunch of actors in SAG made a video talking about their disgust for the plan and disgust. Yes, their disgust for the plan and how it affects. Maybe it doesn't affect them, but this could affect stand-in people because you can make I won't say a living, but you can you can be a stand-in. Background people, stunts, voiceover artists, pretty much everybody who is on screen is eligible for SAG, and but now a lot of these people are going to be booted out because they don't make $25,000 a year from doing their job. So this is a very serious thing, and you'll probably hear more about this within the coming weeks, and especially in the early new year. And the next thing, one last thing before we go to break. Discovery is going to start a streaming service. I've already seen commercials for it because I watch a lot of Food Network and HGTV. And it is called Discovery Plus. It has TLC, TLC, Food Network, Animal Planet, and HGTV. And then it's also going to have the first episodes of Chip and Joanne's new network, Magnolia. It's going to have the first new episodes of the shows on there. So, I mean, this is fine. This is great for Discovery, but not everybody. They're mainly doing this because everybody's dropping cable. But then, you have people, some people, pointing to myself if you're watching the video, if you're not watching the video, you have some people who will pay for every streaming service. Not for this. I will never pay for this. But also they'll pay for YouTube TV, and so you'll automatically get HGTV and Food Network and all this stuff. So traditional TV is, I think, still doing decently. I mean, obviously they're losing people left and right. But in terms of YouTube TV, Hulu, Fire TV, Philo, Fubo TV, and Sling, just name the big five. That just seems to be doing somewhat well. So Discovery already has 5 million paying subscribers globally across all of its streaming services. So what's going to happen is they're going to they already have a Food Network streaming app, and they already have a home and lifestyle app and stuff, but they're going to close down some of those apps and bring them all together. Kind of like how Paramount Plus is going to bring CBS All Access, Comedy Central Now, and a bunch of other Viacom CBS entities, and BET Plus, I can only assume, into one app, which is Paramount Plus, whereas Noggin is so profitable on its own, they're going to keep Noggin by itself, which is the preschool streaming app. Sometimes I hear myself, I see myself in third person talking about this, and I go, "You didn't study in high school? Why do you know this? You didn't study in high school. You were horrible at math." You mentioned last week in one episode. Yeah, I mean, you could have done something. You could have read a book. No, I want to read the trades. Well, this is Wall Street Journal, and of course, this was written by Benjamin Mullen. So, Discovery Plus, you can already see commercials for it, and I mean, who's that for? Who is that for? It's going to be $7. No, it's going to be $5 with ads and $8 without. I didn't even have to look at the thing. I read that once. I skimmed over that once yesterday, and I didn't have to read that. Listen, we're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to have a couple more things to talk about. Let's go to a break, baby. And we are back to the show. Back to the show. I bought, I forgot to mention this from my Black Friday episode. I bought Back to the Future on Blu-ray because I forgot about that. But I bought all the movies came in like a 30th anniversary package on Blu-ray and includes the 2 seasons, the 26 episode cartoon series Back to the Future. So I now own everything that's Back to the Future. Also, I already had that on DVD, not the TV show, but just the movies on DVD on the 25th anniversary collection. But now I have it on Blu-ray. So now I'm trying to, just like this Instant Pot over here, I'm trying to get rid of it. All right, let's move on. I also have one thing that is a Google Home Max. I ordered it from Best Buy on Black Friday, and it just shipped last night at 10 p.m. Or they created the label. So it should be here Monday, but we'll see about that. I can't wait to find it. I can't wait to have it. I was working out this morning, and I have a bunch of Google Home Minis, strewn about the apartment, except for the bedroom, which has the Home Hub, and the Minis. The Minis they do their job, but I want that Max. I want to be able to just feel the bass in my chest. Let's move on. Nielsen study shows less diversity on TV. This comes from Deadline, written by Jill Goldsmith. I feel like I'm leaning forward. A new report by Nielsen found that diverse identity groups appear more frequently on streaming shows than on broadcast or cable, a reason people might be migrating to platforms. I don't know about that. I mean, streaming is relatively cheap and accessible versus, me watching something on FX and I don't know. I think those things aren't. I'm not watching The Queen's Gambit, for instance, because it doesn't have any people of color in it, except for one person who's used as a magical proxy. From what I understand, from what I get, she's not adopted because the show's about some girl from an orphanage or something like that, and then the black girl's not adopted because she's not an orphan. But then the show follows this white prodigy. I don't know. I don't care. I'm not gonna watch it anyway. Just put brown people in the roles. It doesn't make like the flight attendant. I turned on the flight attendant yesterday on HBO Max. And yeah, I get it's a miniseries. I get it's based on something else, but you cast Kaylee Cuoco, great. Does the guy she hooks up with have to be a white guy? Can you just cast somebody else? And then her friends are all brown people like that. I mean, just God. I mean, now that I hear myself saying it out loud, yeah, having the secondary characters all be brown is fine and everything, but Kaylee Cuoco, white. The guy she kills, white. Or the guy who, I've only seen the first episode, but the guy she may have killed, white. Why can't we just have a whole brown show? It doesn't even have to be about race. Just, I hope it's not about race. Just have a bunch of people in the show. And that's what, if I ever made a show, and I hope to God I do, I wouldn't do blind casting, but I would just cast, Look at Saved by the Bell, the Saved by the Bell reboot, which I just finished about 30 minutes ago. Hilarious. And it's such a diverse show. Got Josie Tota over there kicking butt. You got the other 2 main ladies who are just gorgeous. All of them are gorgeous. They're all so gorgeous. All 3 of them. All gorgeous. Then you got the other 2 guys who I could care less about. I'm just joking. But, those women, just gorgeous. Okay. Let's move on. Overall representation of diverse identity groups in on-screen programming is low across all platforms. Nielsen, the study is called Being Seen on Screen, Diverse Representation and Inclusion on TV. Now, they apparently studied 300, I don't know why this is zoomed out. I can't see a thing. They apparently studied 300 of the most viewed programs in 2019. 92% of them had some level of diversity in the cast. Excuse me. Including women, people of color, or LGBTQ. I will not say plus. I'm kidding, plus. But had few representation on screen that reflected the general population. See, this is what I'm talking about. You know, nearly 1/3 of content on cable doesn't have parity representation of indigenous, people of color, which includes Black, Native American, Asian, and Pacific Islander, Hispanic, Latinx, Middle Eastern, North African, multiracial, women, or LGBTQ talent. Okay, so I was about to. I opened this link and I thought I should poo-poo Nielson for being so behind on this, but I think the more the better for these types of studies that come out. I always talk about color of change and the Annenberg Inclusion Initiative from USC, and so now that we have one more and it's from the ratings board, I think it's important that we just keep pushing these types of boundaries and the conversations, so we can keep talking about it. And even if they all say the same thing, hey, there's no women on TV. Hey, there's no women on TV. Hey, there's no women on TV. Hey, there's no queer people on TV. There's no queer people. As long as we keep saying that over and over again, it's eventually, hopefully, going to get into someone's head, and they're going to say, yeah, you're right. There's no women, people of color, queer people on TV at all. But then Netflix will go and make The Queen's Gambit or The Crown Season 4. I'm making a rule. If it doesn't, I'm not going to watch it if it doesn't have people of color in it. And yeah, I understand. And I don't mean it doesn't have to be, I don't want it to be about race. I just want the people of color and queer people to be cast, and women to be cast in these projects without them having to be in these stereotypical roles. Because we're better than that. And I think Netflix and Disney are at the forefront of ruining that. But they put out Black Panther. That means nothing. The next movie they put out after Black Panther was Dumbo. And that had no people of color in it. And I refused to watch it. Also, I refuse to watch remakes. All right, moving on. I don't. I'm not going to talk about this too much because obviously it's the biggest story of the freaking week, which is, and that's saying something. But this comes from Variety, written by Rebecca Rubin. You can tell which trade source I like better. It goes Variety, Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, The Wrap. The Wrap knows what it did. Warner Brothers to debut entire 2021 film slate, including Dune, Matrix 4, both on HBO Max and in theaters. So this is, I'm going to, straight shooter with you. In 2 weeks, I'm going to do this as the last episode of News Time for the year. And because I remember I have 3 weeks off of not doing this stupid show. I'm not doing that stupid show. I still got to do this stupid show. And so this is a crazy, not even proposition, a crazy plan to enact. Universal said the same thing earlier this year, and AMC Theaters was in a tizzy over it, because it is insane for you to eschew theaters and to rely on streaming. But now, last year that would have been insane. But now we're in a pandemic, and now it's still crazy. It's still the unheard of. However, they have these movies just sitting on a hard drive, and they got to do something about it. But AMC is, just got a little bit more money from A, opening theaters, keeping theaters open, and B, getting, I think they got some investment capital. I think I heard that on CNBC yesterday. I'm not entirely sure. But AMC Theaters, the largest theater chain in the world, is struggling because of this pandemic. And if the government's not going to do anything about it, this seems like Warner is throwing away that relationship. Now, AMC has reached out to Warner to say, hey, maybe we can work out some type of deal. But I think, and I said this to myself, to nobody, to probably my cat. I said this a couple of weeks when Warner said that Wonder Woman was going to be released on HBO Max and in theaters. I think it would be a better idea, and I think the idea, now that we're 7 or 8 months into this pandemic, I think it's fine that movies come to streamers first, and if you want to see them in theaters, then you can. I went to a drive-through and I saw Tenet, and it was fine, and I arrived a couple of minutes late and there was too much traffic, but the person I was with was talking the entire time, but I think I got the gist of the story and I understand it, and truthfully, I'm gonna buy it when it comes on Blu-ray. But I do think that in order to have a future relationship, because eventually this pandemic is going to slow down and be over. I think in order to bolster your future relationship with theaters, for Warner and for any other productions, for any other studio that wants to do something like this, Universal, Disney, the rest of them, then Paramount, I think that the better deal would be what Universal and AMC have come to an agreement with, is the movies come out in theaters first, and I think it's 2 weeks or 4 weeks, something like that. In less than a month's time, they can go to streaming. Because either way, you're going to get the money. I know they want they want as much of the money as possible. And that's why Disney Plus got rid of trials. Netflix doesn't have any more trials, and HBO Max, if you have a trial, you can't watch Wonder Woman in 1984. And so, they want to get all that. They want to get as much money as possible, but there are theaters open around the country. You can rent out for $150 a theater at AMC and invite 10 of your friends, and you guys can just watch the movie socially distanced and enjoy a movie with the company of the crowd. 10 people, it's $15 each. I hope that's the math, because I'm not going to redo it in my head. But yeah, or go to a drive-in. And then if you really want to see it, because I mean, obviously that's not something I would do. I would go to a drive-in, but because I don't want to be near people right now. Tell the people at my gym that, because I truly don't want to do that. But I think that would be a better business proposition, because we do have, there's not in California, because I think obviously Gavin Newsom and Eric Garcetti, I think, for LA County, the mayor for LA County, I think they just made more rules for LA, but there's places that aren't on the coasts or in the major cities that can open their AMCs and can open their dollar theaters and their artist theaters, because there's not that big of a global pandemic there, which is so sad to say. I want theaters to thrive, because I don't want to watch, the next biggest film. I don't want to watch Dune in my home. That just I don't have a nice TV. It's an HD TV, literally, truly an HD TV, a sharp HD TV. I got the Xbox and the PlayStation. They're upscaling to 4K, but it does nothing for me. I go, oh, this is nice. This looks just as good as it did. I got a Vizio in my room. I got the Chromecast with Google TV on there. That thing that upscales, and that the Vizio only goes up to 720. What I'm saying is, theaters are good. Theaters are good, and they need to be able to thrive, because next year we're gonna have hopefully, pray to God, we're gonna have I'm hitting my veins like a heroin addict. We're gonna have some type of vaccine, and then we're gonna be able to go out into the world and do stuff. And one of the things I like to do is I like to go to the dollar store, go to a gas station, pick up some candy, pick up some chips, pick up a water, and then go to my local theater. Go to my local theater and sit down. Listen, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll have the last things. I'll see you in a second. And we're back to the show. We are back to the show. back to the show. I didn't think I was going to talk that long on that one. Oh God, these two. All right, well, I don't know why I came back to the last two stories. I should have moved that one last. Okay, so I just read two great profiles this week. One for Harry Styles over there at Variety. He's been named Hitmaker of the Year. He is first thing that came to my mind, I was gonna say a fashion icon. Would you call Harry Styles a fashion icon? I do think he has a good sense of fashion. I don't think I could pull any of that stuff off. I think he and I could be good friends, though. I think he and I could be real good friends. Styles is 26. Talked about in this interview, they talked about he's the first male to grace the cover of the Vogue magazine by himself. I just think this is a well-written profile written by Shirley Halpern. Styles, they talked about his career with, I was going to say the Doughboys. Yeah, the Doughboys podcast. They talked about his career with One Direction, with Louis, Zayn, Frank. I don't think I know who. It's Liam, Louis, Niall, and Zayn. All of them have their own careers. I didn't know they came from that competition, the X Factor. I knew Simon Cowell was involved, but I didn't know it was the X Factor. And also, One Direction's been done for 5 years. You think they'll get back together like the Jonas Brothers? I don't think so. Remember, I talked about that Jonas Brothers documentary a couple of dozen episodes ago that I really enjoyed. I forgot what it was called. But I learned so much about their lives. Anyway, back to Harry. Harry is apparently doing some activism work, too, for Black Lives Matter. Candace Owens spoke out about him saying something like they need more men, manly men on magazine covers, and he said something back. I don't pay attention to that stuff, but I do think that Harry's one of the manliest guys out there. Got that hairy chest, got that just gorgeous voice, singing voice. He loves Manchester. He's in Manchester right now. He can't tour or do anything, really, obviously. I don't know why I put this on here, but you know what? I think it's fine. Read it. Check it out. Harry Styles, one of the best. And then also the second thing, Stephen Colbert's profile on Vanity Fair. Stephen talks about all the things that have been happening since he got a show. This is written by, God, Vanity Fair's pop-ups are insane. Joe Hagan. And we got to see Stephen as a human being. I think I used to, okay, this is, I want to paste this. In late night, and I know I've mentioned this before. I've said that late night has gotten better in the past since the pandemic began because there's no audiences and jokes now have time to breathe. And there's too much clapping in between jokes. And if you go back to Carson, there's not there is that, but there's not as much, and which is good enough. But I want there to be less. And when Conan's show on TBS ends, which they've been on hiatus for about a month now, so it's basically over. When that show ends in the summer and he does whatever his HBO Max show is going to be, I hope that there's less audience involvement. I really do. Seth Meyers is flourishing. Everybody is doing so much better. But my problem is for the past couple of years, when I watch Kimmel, when I watch Fallon, when I watch Corden, Stephen, Conan, Seth, pretty much everybody but Desus and Miro and Sam B, the emphasis has been joke, clap for 4 minutes, another joke, and that's truly, it's annoying. It's annoying and it sucks. And I think it just slows down what comedy is and can be. And that extends into stand up and everything. So, that with that all that said, Colbert, like his show, his fans are just so grossly attached to everything they do, like that he does. And yes, and I know part of this could be the button that the producers press that clicks the applause sign, but at some point you're just, one of the last few stand-up things I watched years and years ago, because I don't watch a lot of stand-up anymore, but years and years ago was Amy Schumer's HBO special. And I was watching that, and I started noticing the applause breaks, just applause break after applause break. And I mean, that was that's part of the reason why I stopped watching stand-up, that and a few other factors that really lean into it. And then last night, I even, before I was going to bed, Jim Gaffigan's latest special that was on that premiered on Amazon was on Comedy Central, and I turned it on for a second, and and one of his jokes was, and this is partly on him, but also mostly on the audience. He says a joke, and then he goes, "What am I, a Kardashian?" And then everybody would start laughing and clapping and laughing and clapping, and I just had to turn off the TV because that was stupid. And yeah, he's one of the best doing it, but I just hate, that's an easy punchline. And also, don't make fun of people who don't deserve it like that. I mean, they're fine. Kardashians are fine. And I'm not saying this because I have a crush on Khloe, because I do. She's my favorite Kardashian, truly. Anyway, all that said, Colbert has become a better host in this pandemic, and now that Trump is out of office, I would like to see what Chris Litch and who's the showrunner, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name right, and what Colbert can do, what they can do without, and obviously Trump's not going to go away, but the fact of the matter is, he's not going to be the topic of everything from this point forward. He's not even the topic of everything now anymore. So this is a great Vanity Fair. Did I talk for like 5 minutes straight? I mean, obviously the show is all me talking, but I think I just talked 5 minutes straight on that. This Vanity Fair profile piece is very good, and it encompasses everything from Colbert's beginnings as the Late Show host into today, and what the pandemic has done for him and everything. And then also I want to mention so this is the first time, like this is going to be, we're going to see Colbert as a person, as opposed to, and I'm not talking about as a character like he did on the Colbert Report, but as a person and as a comedian, as a host that does not have to rely on Donald Trump as the folly anymore. This is going to be a better version of the show. I hope and think. And I mean, and who knows? Maybe this is going to, maybe these last 4 years have just, because we've been kind of on an accelerated timeline, just pushed, him from wanting to do late night anymore. Because, you hear James Corden talk about how he doesn't really like doing late night. But then he renewed his contract, whatever. This just goes through his entire career doing that. I don't know why I put this one on here either. Oh, because the Warner Brothers thing hadn't happened yet, and I was reading these profiles, and I thought they were really nice. Okay, anyway, that's about it. I'm done. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where we've got interviews with favorite comedians. The latest one is... Jesus. Just got the iPad hooked up to the Zoom, so I just heard that through the headphones. You probably heard it too. Where we've got an interview with Johnny Brennan from the Jerky Boys. Jerky Boys are famous prank calling comedians from the 80s and 90s. If you don't know who Jerky Boys are, ask your dad. But now Johnny Brennan is back with the fourth album in the Jerky Boys world. It's just called The Jerky Boys. So definitely check that out. And then check out the interview. It's a good half hour. I put up as a podcast in this feed a couple days ago. 183.7. Johnny Brennan, I believe. The Jerky Boys. The Jerky Boys, not just Johnny Brennan. Jerky Boys. So definitely check that out. It's good. Let's see what else is going on. If you want to see a video version of this show, head to youtube.com/C+comedy, where you can also see News Time. News Time is our premiere show. Every week I take one story and I dissect it. Sometimes I know ahead of time what I'm going to do. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes on that Monday I need to put it out. I write the script that day but last week's episode is about litigation in the entertainment world and lawsuits and stuff. And in 2 weeks, the episode will be about Warner Brothers Pictures releasing movies on HBO Max and in theaters the same day. So it's going to be a good year-end episode. Then you got bloopers and stuff that I've been collecting. I've gotten so good at doing this show that not this show because I'm amazing at this, but doing News Time that I would early in the year I was not messing up. There was like 3 months where I did not mess up, did not have any major funny flops that I thought good enough for the bloopers, and then I guess I just started making mistakes on purpose. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. So definitely check that out. It's youtube.com/C+comedy. Twitter, Instagram, @C+comedy, me @ChadBlackWhite, Facebook, C+comedy. Rate, review, subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts, literally wherever. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Spotify, Deezer, I think. The rest. If you get your podcast anywhere, just type in The Constitutionals or C+ Comedy and you'll see it. I was going to mention something else. Oh yeah. I have one more interview that was set up at the 11th hour last night. Yeah. I'm doing that Monday. I'm not going to say who it is because this is one that I've been waiting for. It was promised to me, not promised. It was, first of all, it was denied. It was denied in the summer. And then it was mentioned again. And then I acted on it as fast as possible. I said, please, please, please. And then weeks went by without hearing anything. And then I heard something. And then another week. And then something. And finally, we set it up. So Monday, that's going to happen. And I will talk about it next week. And you might even, no, you'll hear it next week. You will not hear it anytime before that. All right. We're done. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Tell your friends. Go tell your friends about it, as the weekend would say. Oh, the freezer just made some ice. Goodbye.